And a lot of people are like, how did you do it? And it's just, I keep going. It's hard. I'm going to go cry in the shower for a bit and then I'm going to come back in and get shit done and I'm going to keep going. And I'm just resilient and that's all. And I've read quotes like, you don't have to be smart to be successful. You just have to keep going. I'm not scared of rejection. If I get rejected, okay, I'm going to go do this. Or I'll keep going, until I don't get rejected.
Rejection is redirection. Hello and welcome back to the Beauty Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the Australian skincare industry, an innovator, mentor, and leader who is transforming the way we treat acne. Joining us is Rachel Diaz, a highly respected skin expert and founder of the multi-award-winning Love Beauty Skin Clinic in Perth. With 18 years of experience and dedicated research, Rachel has pioneered a holistic, results-driven approach to clearing acne, blending advanced skin science, gut health, and lifestyle strategies that are quite literally changing her clients' lives for the better. She's also the creator of a groundbreaking acne education manual, the Love Beauty Method, equipping dermal therapists and clinic owners with the knowledge and tools to deliver consistent, high-impact results without the guesswork. Beyond her expertise in skin transformations, Rachel is a visionary leader guiding her passionate team of 19 and fostering a culture of education, emotional support, and client-first excellence. Under her leadership, Love Beauty has become more than just a clinic. It's a movement setting new industry standards in acne treatment and client care. Welcome to the show, Rachel. How are you feeling?
Good, thank you, Sammy. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you today.
You're welcome. How did you feel waking up this morning knowing that you're coming to an in-person podcast versus just doing an online Zoom one in the past?
It's a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's okay. I was excited to go with the experience. Yeah, it's very different, but it's actually very exciting as well.
Well, we're going to have a really fun and value-packed conversation around your journey, how you've built Love Beauty Skin. I always kept calling it Love Skin because that's just what's out in my mind, but I've got it right this time, so that's a win. And then also your life outside of being a business owner, because obviously you're not just a slave to your business. You've got a beautiful family. You also have traveled and done different things. Like, we really want to unpack not only the business that you've built, but also who you are as a person.
Perfect. I'm happy to delve into that with you.
So, Rachel, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and comes across your Instagram for the first time, what would they probably not know about you behind the scenes?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I guess our Instagram's looking quite polished at the moment, thanks to our lovely content creator, Sophia. I guess where I came from, my backstory, starting from nothing, not really having support, especially in building my business, like me and my husband did it together, or having support with my daughter as well, and also having a child at such a young age. So my first child I had at 17, turning 18. So I was pregnant with him in high school. So I've been through lots of challenges to get to where I am today. So I feel like a lot of people might not know where I come from and a lot about my journey that I haven't shared before with anyone.
Well, I'm really excited and I'm grateful that you're coming on to the podcast and actually giving an insight to that, because for many people, they always see you once you're at that higher level. You've already achieved the things and they're going, oh, they had it so easy. But the reality is every single person you talk to has their own journey.
Absolutely.
So, Rachel, your story is incredible, from stealing your mum's clinic skincare at 11 to treating over 10,000 clients today. Let's go back. What first sparked your obsession with skin?
I've always loved beauty. So I've always loved, manicures, pedicures. When I was little, my mum bought me this little book on how to do your makeup in different styles, 80 styles and all these other decades, and how to give yourself like a manicure or a French manicure. And I was always really obsessed with beauty in general. And my mum had like a little makeup bag, and she had like lipsticks and lip liner and mascara, and I would always steal it and get playing and popping it on. Me and my friends would put our makeup on together. And then, yes, eventually I found her clinique and I was doing a little routine like a cleanse, a moisturizer, and it did feel like it was burning and impairing my skin barrier. But at the time, I just felt really happy to do my skincare. And it wasn't very popular back then. It was more for like the women, mothers and older ladies that would go to Clinique, go to like David Jones or go to Clinique. And it kind of started from there. And I guess watching my mum and watching other people on TV, essentially, especially with the movies we had when we were young, like Clueless and Legally Blonde. I think that all fostered like my obsession with beauty and makeup and skin. So I would say that from my memory, it would come from back then.
So you have been obsessed since you were young. Like
Yes.
It wasn't like I hit 16, I didn't want to go to uni, so I decided to get into beauty. You were just like, from the get-go, ready to start your journey in the beauty industry?
I didn't know what I wanted to do for work. So when I was in high school, I loved high school for socialising, not so much for doing the work. I'd zone out and just think about lunchtime and boys and talking with my friends. So I wasn't really a committed student and I didn't know what I wanted to do as a career when I grew up. And I hadn't been to a beauty salon before, so I didn't really know what was available as a career in like down that avenue. So I remember I had a friend when I was 15, one of my good friends, her sister was a beauty therapist and she would come home and she'd be like, I just had a spray tan, I just had my acrylics done, I just had my lashes done. And I remember her picking us up from school and I'm like, so you've had all this done at your work while I'm at school learning science. I want to do that for a job. So I remember that really being an inspiration to me. And then doing work experience. So in like grade, I guess it was like, 10, 11, 12, we started doing like work experience, work placement experience, and you can choose where you go. So originally I thought I wanted to do hair. So I went to my actual local hairdresser, which was in Bull Creek at the time. And I did I did work experience there for a couple of months and I did like it. It was very go, go, go and it was very boring. So I'm like cutting foils, cleaning towels, sweeping hair, but it was a good experience and I did love that they've got beautiful hair and it was still kind of entwined with like makeup and beauty as well. But then I realized that I want to do beauty therapy. I think I went and got my nails done for the first time and I just loved the vibe, loved the energy of the business and I just thought I want to be here every day. For me to do something, I get bored very easily. So I need to love it, especially to do it every day long term. So I knew that it filled me up and it felt more like a hobby, like I want to be here. I would do it for free. So that's kind of how I knew that I wanted to work in a beauty salon as opposed to like being a hairdresser. So I went from there and then I got pregnant with my son. I was in year 12. So it was right after, I think, my school ball when I found out that I was pregnant. So I, was in year 12, going to school, hiding my belly, pretending like I'm not pregnant, not knowing what I'm going to be doing. I didn't plan for this. This wasn't in the plan. And I signed up to do my diploma of beauty therapy as soon as I had him. So my parents were like, you need to do something, you need to work. We're not going to be supporting you. You need to support yourself. So I literally had my son in January and then it was 3 months later and I started my diploma of beauty, which was full time. So then I would do both. I'd be raising him, up all night with him, studying and going to the beauty, what was it called? Like a beauty school, beauty college during the day.
How did you get support during that time? Because it doesn't sound like your parents were necessarily that supportive. And did you have the dad around to help you out or were you just trying to figure it out all on your own?
So the dad was my partner. We'd been together for a long time. So, but we didn't plan this. He was 3 years older than me, but we were both young. So I actually ended up moving out with him into a rental.
Yeah.
So we lived together. My dad helped a little bit financially getting me into the rental and with some furniture as well at that time. And he actually also bought me a car as well. And I got my license and so I could drive when Jackson was born. And then I went to school. My grandma was a big help. So my grandma and my dad paid for my diploma. My grandma paid majority of it and she would actually drive me before I had my license every day. She'd come get me, drop me off and then come get me in the afternoon and she'd bring me a little up and go every single day.
Yes, up and goes.
Yes, and she's not here anymore. So she actually passed before I became successful. So I wish that she
would have
was
been
here
so proud
to see it, and I would love to treat her and thank her. But yeah, she did so much for me and she helped me so much. And then my mum helped more with Jackson when he was smaller, and it just wasn't something that she was very passionate about. So I did get a lot of help from from his dad's side of the family. So they were really supportive. And then in terms of work and living by myself, I've been living by myself since I was 17. When me and the father separated, I went back with my mum for a couple of months and then I was out again. So I've just been working and surviving essentially since I was 17 years old. So I grew up really fast and I have gone through a lot of challenges and I've built resilience. So I think that these lessons and this experience has really set me up today because I can handle a lot of stress and a lot of pain essentially, and I can push through. And that's what's really helped, especially in the beginning of building my business, taking it next level, scaling, not having support yet in the business, and then hiring the support so that I can have more flexibility and a life essentially and not carry so much stress as well.
So amongst all of that, you've just had this baby, you've gone and studied your diploma. Did you go and work for someone else or were you just working for yourself from the get-go?
So I studied my diploma. I actually shocked myself that I'm smart because in school I didn't pay any attention at all. I was not interested and I thought I was very dumb and uneducated. And so when I got into my beauty diploma, I was getting 100% in all the assignments. Yes, I had a son, so I wasn't going out like the other people might have been on the weekends because we're young. So I was at home studying because I was passionate about the work, about the content, and I would get 100% every single test. And in my final exam, I got 100% on all of the muscles of the body and the entire test essentially. So that made me quite proud at realizing I'm not stupid. I just really need to like what I'm doing to give it my energy and attention. Otherwise, I just am not going to do it. It's going to go in one ear and outside the other. I'm just not going to pay attention. So that definitely gave me more confidence. I was doing work experience in before my second semester of beauty college. I had found a Ella Bechet salon and I was doing work experience. And then she gave me a paid job and she threw me in and I was doing treatments. So I was like waxing, doing brows. So that was all originally quite scary for me, quite overwhelming, her chucking me in the room. But again, it built resilience and confidence, and I might have been more scared going slowly than just dealing with it at once and overcoming it. So I was doing clients and getting paid for it before my second semester of beauty college. So I got my foot in the door there. And then as soon as I graduated, kind of before the lead up to graduating, I'd already put my resume everywhere. So I had a shopping centre right across from like where I lived in Canning Vale at the time. So I put my resume in there because that was just very convenient across the road, easy to get there, easy to get home. And I got a job there. So that was my starting point. And I actually worked, it was like 8 years in the industry for other people until I felt like I had enough confidence and experience to go out on my own. And I feel like that built me, that built my skills, my professionalism. And without that, I wouldn't have been comfortable to just start my own business like I know a lot of people do today. But I think that you need to work for someone. You need to also work for someone and learn from them. Like, what do they do right? What do they do wrong? How do they run the business? How do they order? All of those essential things that the ins and outs of the business, the back end. So I feel like all of that added to my experience and to who I am today and starting Love Beauty.
I love everything you've said about that. And I completely agree. I think in today's world, there's a lot of online courses that teach you learn this skill, start your business, be your own boss, create financial freedom. And anyone who's actually worked in the industry longer than 6 months knows that's a load of crap because you actually have to understand how to run a business. And everything you're saying about working for someone else, it makes so much sense. Like, you're just going in blindfolded. It's like trying to create a restaurant with never having tasted anything, no recipes, just like rocking up and praying for the best. And I feel like the more experience you have working with different people and seeing their systems and processes, you kind of take apart each thing that you love, and then you learn a lot of what not to do. Where there's some things from your experience working for other people that you were like, oh gosh, I'm never doing that in my business.
I had a lot of takeaways from how they would treat us. So, and wanting to do better for my employees. I remember one of my first jobs, they would make you get on the floor and scrape, like clean the skirting boards, scrape like if there's any wax, which I understand you've got to clean up the wax off the floor, but like it was very almost degrading, and we would be spoken to like we're stupid or worthless. So it was just the way it was, having older women as your boss, and the industry was very different. And again, I think it taught me resilience and strength. So a lot of people nowadays might not be able to handle any types of pressure or stress, where we were built differently. So I feel like it was a good experience to go through, but it was definitely a takeaway that I wanted to treat my staff differently to get the best out of them. And I'm just trying to think, treatments that I wouldn't perform, or facials that I wouldn't perform, or that didn't go well, or maybe people were having reactions to it. Products I loved, products I didn't love. I took so much out of it, definitely. Different techniques from different workplaces, just building my skills based off like what you just said, taking what I believe, the best parts of each. But yeah, mostly it was just treating people differently, giving people opportunities, and providing a workplace that I would thrive in, that I would want to work in as an employee, essentially, and having a good relationship with my staff and my team.
I've definitely seen the number one problem when you do any type of market research for the beauty industry is that staff retention is terrible. You know, everyone's always looking for staff, and I think that you are someone who's done really well in retaining staff, and that goes to show you've gone and taken that whole approach of like, how will my employees feel? And then what kind of progression are you giving for them to stay with you long term? If you just get chucked in, you're going to do this job, that's it, no additional training, no upskilling, no kind of incentive to even want to improve or stay long term, like why are staff going to stay long term with you?
Absolutely.
So you've grown from solo therapist to now leading a team of 19, what were the biggest growing pains as you scaled? Because that's obviously a massive achievement to go from, hey, I'm just one person, to taking on 19 people. There's financial risk involved. There's different personalities. You know, how did you do it?
It was difficult. I'll go through it. So from the beginning, let's go back from the beginning when I started from home. So initially it was me, and I was doing all of the hours, and I was doing too much essentially. And I didn't know that you could do too much and reach burnout. So I kept going until I'm like, I think something's wrong. And then I decided, would I downscale? Like, would I, not have as many clients and cut my days, or am I going to bring someone on? And yeah, keep in mind I was at home at this time, and I decided to hire someone to work in my home. So I didn't have to work 7 days a week, 12-hour days.
How old were you at this stage?
I think I was 27. So I was 27 at this time. And so I started interviewing. The first person I hired, that was kind of a challenging experience for me. I'd never been a boss before. I'd never been the employer, and I didn't know like the kind of person that I was wanting to hire. I just wanted anyone that would work with me. So I didn't have any of that knowledge upon initially hiring someone. And she was quite nice. But then as I started bringing in policies and procedures, and like, this is what we do when in downtime, she started getting very upset with me, and she said that she was helping me out. And I said, you're my employee, I'm paying you. So you're not helping me out. You can't sit on the couch on your phone when I'm paying you. You're in work hours. So that, and then she was quite aggressive. I was like the employee. So it was an uncomfortable experience for me, but a lesson in that, one, be clear from the beginning, two, be mindful of who you hire, because they have to be aligned and aligned to your vision as well. And you have to get along. And I was feeling very uncomfortable because it was in my own house as well. So then I ended up breaking that, like terminating the employee, and we didn't go forward. And that was a very difficult part in the journey as well, because I had to decide, am I going to do this again? Because that was horrible. I felt uncomfortable in my own house, like I wanted to cry, and it was just not a good experience. Like, do I want to hire again? And I thought, I'm going to try one more time, but if this is what it's like, it's not for me. And then I thought, I'll try again. So I did. And then I found Bianca, who was our first employee. And it was a completely different experience, different person, different experience. Very passionate, did not mind working from home, loved the clients like they were her own, helped me to grow, took responsibility off of me. I didn't even have to go through the policy or the procedures. She just worked in other businesses and knew what was needed. And she just helped me so much and was a great support. And that made me feel like I'm not in it alone, and that it was great having a team member essentially, and it wasn't as bad as what I expected. So it started from there until we were like maxed. My house was like just not a house anymore. It was a business, because on days I wasn't working, Bianca was working. So it was just go, go, go. And I wanted to have that disconnection from work. It was starting to affect like my life, my balance, work-life balance. And I wanted to have that disconnection. So that's when we started looking for commercial spaces. And then the first commercial space, someone actually brought it to me. So a lovely lady I used to work with, told me that her friend that was in Shelley, she'd been there for like 10 years and that she was going to move her clinic. She's expanding and she's moving to a different location. And initially I was so scared to have overheads. I was like, oh my gosh, there's rent, there's water, there's electricity, there's so much that we have to pay. And we've been going from like practically no overheads to like a commercial space. So my husband wasn't scared, but I was scared, because to me it was a big commitment, and I felt like the responsibility to look after everyone was on my shoulders, and that if I failed, it was just a scary thought for me. So I hired, knowing we're going into the commercial space, we were already really busy. So I hired another person going into the business. So upon moving into that business, again, that person didn't work out because she wasn't very committed to her job and coming into work. So that's something I was learning too, that we need people that are committed and can come for their shift, because otherwise I get burnt out. I'm doing my hours and their hours, or I burn my other therapist out, or we cancel the clients all the time and they get upset and go somewhere else. So just learning these lessons as I went. Then I found Jordana, who's still with us today. So I found another employee, and I just would keep going until I found the right people. And then in time, I brought on another therapist and a receptionist / coordinator. And that's when I started stepping off the floor more. And just whenever we kind of had a wait list and we were like there was room to grow, but we couldn't fit them in, that's when I would look at hiring. So I kind of would wait maybe later than I would like, and it could put on stress, but I just wanted to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a financial position that could be detrimental, and also that we're not playing around with someone's life, like promising hours and then saying, oh, sorry, we actually can't give that to you. So yes, we grew in the smaller space until it was completely maxed out. COVID definitely helped with that, because we were locked in Perth. No one was really traveling, and people wanted to treat themselves. There's a lot of stress and they want to do lots of self-care. So we just went bang in COVID times, and we had this huge wait list. So then I was terrified. But again, me and my husband were like, let's just look what's out there. Let's just look at commercial spaces. Like, we're not going to move. It would be absolutely horrible. We just reopened and we were closed for 3 months. Like, it would be stupid.
Next minute
we found our current location, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's like perfect. It's not too far from the other clinic, so people will be fine traveling. It's got so many rooms, like, we can expand in there, and we've got opportunities for growth in future. It's on a main road. You can see it. The location's fantastic. It's a beautiful standalone building, which is what I wanted as well. So then we were like, oh, we probably won't get it, but let's just go meet with the real estate company. And then anyway, we ended up signing. I got a COVID clause so that I would feel more comfortable. So if we were to close the game, they would waive the rent. We wouldn't have to pay it. So that was amazing. That gave me more confidence. And before we moved in there, I had hired and trained 2 more staff and another receptionist. So when we were in there, I opened them from the beginning. So the 2 girls were fully booked before we even were in that clinic. So I kind of would just prepare. I'm good at seeing all different things that need to be done instead of just one thing. So I was like organising that. So organising the new space, the rooms, the logistics of it. And I would say that was also one of my biggest challenges, because opening a bigger space with more team and just having it, the other one was really easy to move in because the back's close to the front. If you're out of stock, you just go like between the rooms. But this is a huge business, like it's a 280 square meter business. So you'd have to go all the way to the back, and it like would disrupt your treatment. And it was like starting over again, starting a new business. And I didn't know that was going to happen. And that kind of shocked me and was a challenge for me. So even though it was really exciting, we had a bigger team, it was one of the hardest times, just going from like the smaller clinic to the bigger clinic and team, and learning how, like what that looked like and how to organize it so it was like a smooth sailing, instead of like, we've got no peels in the room, we don't have brushes in the room, and people running out. So yeah, it was a bigger investment, and again, more responsibility. We were in the thick of COVID, so very challenging times. But yeah, that is kind of the progression of going from a sole trader to a team of 19. And over the years, we've just hired as needed, like when the demand is there.
Definitely sounds like in the beginning stages, you were kind of in that reactive hiring process where you just have the nightmare type of employees that you're like, how do I get rid of you without getting a call from Fair Work? And then now you've got this beautiful system in place where you know the demand's there. It's time to take on the next team member. For anyone listening to this podcast, there's a couple questions that I have on behalf of them, which I was really curious about. How did you get fully booked? You're obviously going from being solo to having this wait list. Like, what were your main strategies or things that got you fully booked in those stages of your business?
I hustled. So because I went through challenging times when I was younger with my son, and I've endured like those, really hard times, I worked 24/7 where I didn't have a life balance. A lot of people put in their boundaries. I was like, work, work, work. You say no to nobody. You get them in. So that helped me. It propelled me. So initially we worked with influencer marketing. That has changed a lot over the years. So I don't know if it's that effective anymore. But we worked with a couple of Perth's best influencers. One I had reached out to, and it was before influencers were huge, essentially. Like they were up and coming, but that definitely propelled us because it got more eyes on us, essentially. And then everyone wanted facials. So it was more like the niche of just like doing skin, essentially. And that's what I wanted to do, what I wanted to aim for. So definitely the influencer marketing and saying, yes, they want a Sunday. Yes. They want an evening. Yes. Like I'm doing it. So just making sure we're not losing out on clients and the bookings. So I did that. And then again, I'm fully booked, brought on Bianca. And as soon as I saw that we're turning people away, I started planning to bring someone else on. So just smart thinking, advertising, social media, Instagram was a huge one. I got in at the time that it wasn't exploding. If I went in a little bit earlier, I think that it would have been even better. But I went in when it started. It was still okay, but it started to become more difficult to get reach and to have eyes on your page and to grow, essentially. But I got in when it wasn't as difficult as it is today. So that helped the influencer marketing, saying yes to everyone, hiring as I needed instead of being like, no, we're at capacity. I just was like, nah, we can take you on. I'll hire someone. So, or I would hire before. I'd be like, we're turning a lot of clients away. We have a lot of demand for Tuesdays and Saturdays. We need to hire someone for that. Yeah. So I would get straight on it. And if someone leaves, I'm straight on hiring someone else. So just, keeping on doing that, just made sure we never went backwards. We're always going forwards. We're always growing every year on year.
Your number one skin clinic in Perth, essentially. Where does that come from? Does that come from the awards? Does that come from PR? Like, how did you get to being, hey, I'm Rachel at home, to now I'm number one?
I think just a passion and a hunger to be like one of the best skin clinics in Australia. And because I am so passionate, it's like almost a hobby of mine. So, and I put everything into it. And like they say, instead of doing heaps of different things, do one thing and do it really good. I literally hone in on it, do it every day for 8 years, and you will be the best. Like you'll be one of the best, because it's where all your energy, all of your time, all of your effort goes. So it just really changes things, and quite fast. Like it's taken years, but it feels like it's been a quicker process. Like it feels like it's been like a blink of the eye, and you just get there and then you're like, oh, I did that. I checked that off, like my goal off. And now what's the next thing? So I just keep going, essentially. So keep going, advertising, doing better, see what we can do better, seeing what other people are doing that we can learn from, pictures, like results showing that we're not just pretty clinic with a aesthetic social media. Like we get results. Like no one is putting as many like life-changing results on their page as we are achieving. And sometimes I find it funny. I look at different businesses and they have no results on their page. And I just think, how are you busy with no results? Because if you don't have like a portfolio of your work, people are trusting you, but like, where are your results? What are you achieving for your clients? So I think the consistency, the showing up, I'm good at brand. I always have. Like when I was young, I would make little collages, when you are starting like high school or starting a new year.
Got a vision board.
Got a vision board. But I would like put from the magazines, from like Girlfriend and Dolly, cut them out, make them look really aesthetic, do a little collage, and then do that like clear kind of I don't know what you call it, like coding on the book.
Yeah.
And I do that. I did it with my furniture. I had like this cabinet, this bookshelf, and I like cut magazine pictures out and I stuck it on there. So I've always like vision boards and like having your vision and things you like in front of you so you can look at them. I'm really clear on like my goals or my branding, what we stand for, what we look like. So people know we're Love Beauty essentially and they can recognize us anywhere. So I think having a really good solid brand as well is very important.
Yes, love skin.
Love Beauty.
I swear I love the brand, but I just always like, maybe I have dyslexia.
It's
I don't
confusing.
know.
A lot of people are like, love skin, love your
beauty.
skin.
I think other people have just said love skin, so then I've just taken it on board. Oh, I need to get better.
We might have to change it because we don't really do beauty anymore. So it is Love Skin.
Rebrand.
Love Skin Clinic.
So Love Beauty Skin Clinic. There we go. That makes sense. Love Beauty and then Skin Clinic in subtitles. Now I just got to remember that.
That's okay.
One thing that I love about your brand is that anyone I've spoken to, literally went out for a networking day the other day with a girlfriend, and she said the only thing she does for herself is go to your clinic. And she said, I don't care how much it costs. It is literally this day of the month where I can go, I'll pay $350 or whatever it is she pays, and I just get to relax. And she said, no matter who I have, it's so consistent. And then I'm talking to another client the other day. She was somewhere in Sydney, went to this clinic for a facial, and then she went with another team member, and she said it was so inconsistent. Wasn't necessarily a bad experience, but she's like, there's a lack of trust when you've got inconsistency. I just have to say, like, your consistency with brand, the way you show up on socials, the way that your staff act outside of work, which is, I think, is such a great quality to have. You don't want them to be great here and then playing up in other areas. I love the way that you've created this brand. What has been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned when it comes to creating brand and making sure that the team is actually aligned and lives up to that standard as well?
I think that now that we've set a name for ourselves, we attract a certain type of employee that is very passionate and wants to give it their all, essentially. So I think that they know that if you want to, not commit, it's not the right place for you because I have high expectations. I have high expectations for myself as well and the business, not just the employees, because we do need to deliver like an exceptional experience for our clients or it comes back on the business and me essentially. So if the therapist doesn't align with our consistency and our experience, they're not going to remember as a therapist and the therapist can leave. They're going to remember it as me and the business. So it's very important, and that's where training comes into it. Training, working closely with your team, having aligned values, and the hiring process. So now when I talk to someone, when I'm doing an interview, I know if I align or not straight away. So I do take into consideration personal things. How old are you? Are you mature? Are you immature? Do you have a party lifestyle? Like, are you going to come to work or are you partying all weekend? Like, it's just because I need to protect the business, our name, the client experience, and also the other team members, because we are bigger and those things have a domino effect, a negative domino effect in the clinic. And also, like the saying says, if you have like a rotten apple, it seeps into everyone. So culture is a big thing. And even though sometimes even my team might think I'm hard, but they can see that in the bigger scheme of things, I'm protecting the culture. I'm protecting the team, the culture, and the client experience, and the clients themselves as well, and me even a little bit from headaches in the future, because I can see little red flags of experiences I've already gone through. So, yeah, I'm looking for certain people that really want to work with us. It's been a dream of theirs. It's been a passion. They love skin. They went and studied dermal because they've been following us for a while and they're just so aligned and it's their dream career essentially that they want to be in. They're the type of people that we want to join Love Beauty. People that really care and are really entwined and they're connected to the business essentially as well. So those are the type of people that we, like to have on the team.
I love all of that. And I know you're going to have a bit of an interesting answer to this question because I am technically Gen Z. You've mentioned before that Gen Z employees they have like a lack of care and commitment. They have all these expectations around pay raises and what's in it for them. How have you managed that and what have you found? Because I don't know what your experience has been and to the full extent, but I've had clients in the past who they've got new people coming into the industry. They're younger, but they just don't have the kind of same kind of standards, values or work ethic, and trying to find those people. There's a lot less of them than there are the Gen Zs, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. I think, and also it's harder because our generation are now having children and moving into more of a family life, so there is less of them available essentially. I think that it's Gen Z, isn't it? Did you say? Yeah. I'm like Gen Y, Gen Z, who knows what they are. But with Gen...
are you a millennial?
I'm a millennial.
Okay.
I love millennials, 2000s all the way. I was born in 1989, but...
What do you mean 2000s? I was born in the 2000s.
Yeah. So you have to be born in the 90s to be a millennial?
Yes. So
okay, or the 80s.
It's 1997 until 2012, which is Gen Z.
When I think millennial, I think the year 2000.
Oh, that would have been your
so that's what
teenage years.
My teenage years in the millennium. But I was born at the end of the 80s. It's like kind of end of the 80s to the 90s, which was the best time.
See, my generation is like #selfie by the Chainsmokers going off like.
I don't even know what that is, but I know who the Chainsmokers are. But it depends on the person completely and how they were raised, and just them as like yourself, you're a Gen Z, you're completely motivated and you're an amazing businesswoman. So I, again, will go for Gen Zs that, again, have those same characteristics or personality traits as the older ones that I'm hiring. It is hard because of social media. It's really hard for them too, because they're getting kind of sold a lifestyle that they need to obtain essentially to feel like they're good enough. So they need to like look good, go to the gym, party, be at every festival, come to work a good job. Like there's so much that they have to do, which can sometimes maybe impact their performance or their availability for work. But essentially I've learnt it depends on the person, and that just give them a go. I will talk to them, we'll have meetings, try and manage it if it's not working out. Let them know, be very clear on our values, the why behind the values, why we need it as a team. And then I would, if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. But again, that hiring process is kind of like a filter, but sometimes you don't know till you get them working for you.
So you're really hiring for that attitude more so than the skill set or qualifications, because the attitude's what's going to keep them long-term in the
attitude, the mindset, the behaviours, that's what I'm hiring for, and we can teach them. And they're moldable. Gen Zs are smart too. The younger, the more moldable they are as well. So the more efficient they can be. But hiring for the personality and behaviour and mindset and aligned goals, kind of an alignment with the vision. Like, are you going to come to work? Are you going to have Saturdays off all the time? Like, I
got a festival to go to.
Yes.
I'm actually going shopping at Karen Up. Yes. Let me be.
That will happen. That has happened. Parties have happened. And then the conversations in the clinic after, I'm like, do you think I won't hear this? But people, I guess younger people aren't really thinking about that as much, but we just try and keep to, again, hiring to our values and getting the right kind of people. Do I make mistakes? Of course. And then sometimes it just doesn't work out. But that's why that we've got a probation period.
Yes.
So we kind of, even if they're going to be full-time when they first start with us, they're on casual. So we have a probation period. And if it doesn't work out, 3 to 6 months, we change it up. Yeah. So generally 3 to 6 months. And that's when you kind of find out what the person's actually like, because we can all say whatever we want, but the action shows us what the person's like. So I go by the actions and the consistency in the actions, the patterns. Like, is this a pattern? Yes, this isn't going to get better. This is going to get worse. If this is it during probation, it's going to be worse later when you're like a permanent colleague or permanent employee. So trying to just keep those things from happening and having those processes like start the in-depth interview process.
You're just filtering through and being able to find the right ones.
Protecting the team, essentially, again, protecting the team, protecting myself from problems arising in the future. I just want to be smarter about that from the beginning, about the hiring, to protect myself from future stress, essentially, as well.
Currently going through all the things you're talking about, and it's a real thing. If you don't have the hiring process dialed in, the type of people you attract can create the biggest headaches. And also, it's not easy to fire people. You know, you have to do performance reviews. You have to make sure that you're managing them. You have to have a plan. Like, it's just crazy when you actually learn about what you need to do to have a team. One of the issues I'm having is when we decided to take on team, we went for some juniors just because we didn't have the budget behind us at this stage. We didn't know exactly what roles we needed to fill to be able to offer part-time or full-time, which is what most people who are probably 30 and above need for stability. They've got a family, they've got financial commitments with mortgage, whatever. And with the younger people, they're great in the first week, but after that, it drops. And then the other thing is they're addicted to their phones. I have never had to have so many conversations where I'm like, can you please put your phone away? We're not sitting here. You got people Snapchatting, checking Instagram, ignoring customers. And that's one thing that I've really struggled with. It's like, it reminds me of high school sports. We used to have to put our phones in like one of these little lock boxes and it'd get taken away and you couldn't go on it for the hour or so. And it's just like, do you do that? But then are you like being too controlling? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, I've made, again, many mistakes. Okay, so when I first started my business, I was quite hardcore, I guess you could say. I have OCD.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the room needs to be clean, the drawers need to look like this, the bed needs to look like this, you need to do everything the way that I envision it. And I found that it creates like a high pressure environment and a lot of people break, like especially Gen Z. They're like, F this, like I do not want pressure because they're not built to like withstand pressure. Like again, we're going to school and the teachers are screaming in our faces when we're younger. Like we're learning, we're getting put in our place and we have to deal with it and we have to learn to be patient. Where, again, Gen Z have had it a little bit easier, but maybe to their detriment, where they're not as resilient and they can't cope with a lot, which will impact them in future and as adults. It's not all of them because, again, it depends on how they're brought up and their family and everything like that. And, again, we have lots of younger girls and they're amazing and they're exactly like the older girls. So not everyone has those traits. But yeah, I was too full on and probably too harsh, and you're creating an environment where they're scared of you. No one's going to like you if they're scared of you. They may respect you, but they're going to think you're a total bitch. So what I have noticed is because I have OCD and I want things to be perfect, but they can't be perfect. They can be great, but they can't be perfect. I find personally having a manager helps because then I don't need to see all the imperfections all the time. That would bother me. I'm not going to be too full on for the team. Like little things can slide and we'll focus more on the important things that matter. And also having a buffer between me and the team. So if I'm really stressed because I'm taking it personally because it's affecting me essentially, or affecting my team and I'm upset for like some of my team members, instead of me putting that stress onto the person that we're managing, my manager can do it she can take the messaging from me, she can buffer it, she can relay it to the staff member, and we can have a really positive outcome without stress, essentially. So I find that helps a lot because when people say you're going to be in business a long time, you're going to go through these things, it's going to get easier, you'll build a thick skin and you won't care. I've been doing this, really since I was pregnant with Violet, which is 9 years. It never gets better. It always hurts. It actually hurts. I take it, even though I don't want to, I take it personally and it hurts. So I try and do things, put boundaries in place to lessen the hurt, but it always will a little bit. And I guess I have gotten better over the years. It doesn't impact me as much. And I know that at the end of the day, these things are going to happen. People come and go. Things happen in business and it's just life. But definitely having a manager to buffer helps. So it stops me from putting, again, that pressure on the team, and it stops like me from stressing because my manager can resolve things for a great outcome without it being, personal or without it being dramatic, essentially. And it's also really good for the culture. And if I am stressed, I'm not going to bring it in there. So like the old kind of mindset of our industry was like, I'm going to show them I'm angry. So like they'll come in and they'll maybe be passive aggressive or they'll ignore you. Or
you didn't hit your targets.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. I was like, I think you need some therapy.
Exactly. So I don't want to project that onto my team because it's not going to work. If you do that to a child, it's not going to work. If you do it to teenagers, they're going to rebel. If you do it to an adult, they're going to say, see you later. So I don't think that it will get the best outcome. So definitely I've noticed that has helped me, my mental health, and it definitely helps the team and their culture. And you can really work with them, to, again, align with the things that you're wanting or are non-negotiables. If you yell at them or put them down, they're not going to listen. They're going to get their back up and like we just said, nowadays, they'll just leave essentially. And it might be the same somewhere else, but they'll just jump around. So I think just getting better processes and better at management and what works for us. So some people might be really, they're not stressed, they don't have anxiety, they don't get personally upset by it. So they're great at managing their own team. But I want to be respected by my team, but I don't want my team to fear me at the same time. I want them to know Rachel needs us to come to work, to look after the clients and to give our all. But I'm not doing it because I'm scared of Rachel. I'm doing it because I appreciate her and the opportunity to be in the business, and I like my job. I love my clients. That's where I want it to come from, essentially. And I do find since swapping it out, I've read lots of books on like how to deal with people and how I would get the best out of me if I was in their shoes as well. And people are all different kinds of personalities are challenging. Having lots of women in one place is challenging, but it's just being human. So that's kind of how we look at it now and how I go about things, and it's definitely helped. So having a manager to me is of the utmost importance for my mental health.
Yes. And you can also see where people might know you and they go behind the manager's back and they go, oh, well, I know Rachel, like I want a job here, or, I know Rachel, she said it's okay for me to go this week. And it's like, no. It just goes through the manager, and that way it's also creating that level of consistency. So if anything goes wrong, if there's people that want to apply, like it's creating this filter, which is preventing the burnout, which you were saying was...
It protects you.
Yeah.
It protects you so you can show up better for your team. Just like they say, like if you put yourself first, you'll show up better for your family or your children. So I used to be very available and I had no boundaries, like I said, to build my business, and more so from employees messaging me all the time, messaging me at 9 at night. There was a lot of them. It definitely like wore me down and burnt me out. Essentially, I was carrying too much. So having that filter and like you said, their responsibility, everyone goes through them, really helps essentially. And they see her as the manager. So they see her as their boss essentially, which is fantastic. And then she brings everything to me. So everything that they kind of are speaking to her about, she'll bring it to me. So I know them equally. I know about their lives. I know what they're going through. They might not even know that, but like I know them very intimately, essentially, because I have a close relationship with the manager. So she brings everything to me. If there's any challenges or if we need to make any changes, we talk about it together. We talk about how we're going to implement it, and then she goes and implements it within the business.
Yes.
So it definitely protects you and it protects your mental health so that your resilience is better. You're not on the edge at burnout where your nervous system can't take anything, and it's better for all parties.
It's a lot of decisions you're having to make, and to deal with two girls who are having a little tiff or something. It's like that versus how am I going to launch this product, or how am I going to create this kind of thing? Like it makes sense. You have to have it in there. I'm actually really curious because I know we had a conversation when we caught up for coffee about how you've structured your business. So being at that CEO level, how does the team all work? Because I've spoken to people, they sit there and they're like, oh, I just need to do it all. And there's no management skills. There's no manager. Do you have assistants for the manager? Is everyone senior, junior? Like, how does it all work in your world?
So at the beginning, it was like what you just said, me having a nervous breakdown. Yeah, pretty much. So again, I left it till I reached my limit, and I'm like, I need to do something. This isn't sustainable. I'm burnt out again and I'm not okay. So hiring people to be you in the business, delegating to them so you have more time to run the business, to optimize the business, and to do the things you're passionate about, essentially. So again, my first really important hire was, I guess, a coordinator, a receptionist coordinator. So she can make all appointments. She can work the books so they're optimized, so they're block booked. She can potentially upgrade. So she's taking on all of that responsibility, keeping the girls booked.
Does she only focus on coordination and reception, or is she also being able to see clients? Because I think that's where a lot of people go, oh, yeah, I'll just get someone who can do it all.
Yeah. So initially when I was smaller, due to finances, I had someone that was on reception, but she could step in the treatment room if someone's sick.
Yep.
She wouldn't have her own clientele and column, but we did utilize her across both. As we've gotten bigger, we have 2 coordinators now, and they don't go in the room ever. So they are just out the front. They're stationed out the front. They're like run the front area, front of house. They're almost like managers at the front of house, essentially. And there's 4 girls that work across there with 2 coordinators. So 2 receptionists, 2 coordinators essentially. Yep. So yeah, their job is to keep the girls booked. We try and steer away from online bookings and we try and do it all in clinic. We still do get online bookings, but it's just way easier to manage and make sure they're coming back and getting them in with their therapist before they leave as well. So that also is a great strategy to keep yourself booked, but just making sure they can get in with their preferred therapist, their preferred day, their preferred time, and we do it all in-house. That's one of our KPIs. So yeah, keeping the columns all booked, doing confirmations. We're really good with our confirmations so that we don't have heaps of last-minute no-shows, taking redeemable deposits, sending consultation forms ahead of time, keeping the front of house nice and clean, dealing with any issues, challenges, stock that's coming in essentially. So that's kind of what they focus on, and their days are so busy. Like their days are just always jam-packed and they're like, oh my goodness, where did the time go? So now we have people that just focus on what their role is essentially, and that makes everything easier. Where before I feel like it was stressed and people were stretched across the business, I was stretched across the business as well. So yeah, definitely just hiring where we need. Like we've got Sophia now and she does all of the social media. She is great. She shares my vision. She's got like great eye for aesthetics as well. So I feel like I haven't been able to find someone before that I would trust to completely take over the socials. So she works with us pretty much full time, and she's the one that is making the page look pretty and consistent, and we're doing consistent reels every week, stories every day, and connecting, showing our audience who we are, our why, and yeah, just connecting with our community online.
So you've got manager, you've got clinic coordinators who support the manager in the daily operations, you've got social media manager, and what about the other team? So the rest are all therapists?
The rest are all therapists. So we've got our main manager. She's a people culture and business manager. Fantastic. Yep. We've got Kelly, who has been a long-term coordinator. Amazing. Like, love Kelly. I don't know what I would do without her. So she's been with us for a long time. We've recently hired Becky, who came from Crown. So she is a coordinator and assistant manager to our manager. And she's also kind of like our customer care manager as well. She's fantastic at dealing with clients, any complaints, any issues, she's our go-to. Then we've got 2 receptionists that work on reception to support them as well. One of them can go in the treatment room. She's an amazing dermal therapist. The others are all just on reception. They don't go in the treatment room. Then we've got Sophia, who is our full-time social media manager. Then we have got all the rest of the therapists. So everyone else is like a dermal or beauty therapist.
Do you have all your therapists offer the exact same treatments, or do you have certain therapists who specialise?
So they all offer the same treatments, except for some can't do laser because they're not laser safety officers, and one of the girls does the buccal facial massage. It's really hard to train in the buccal facial massage. It takes like weeks. So I've trained a couple of people in it, but it's like a specialty service, so not everyone can perform it. But apart from that, everyone else does all of the treatments. All the training's the same. We're very consistent with training, our onboarding process to make sure, and even the way that they talk about skin, the protocols we follow to get results, it's all planned and mapped out for them essentially, and that's what we teach them.
So you've got this incredible team and you've got a thriving clinic. What does a day in your life look like as CEO?
So what I like to do right now and what works for me is in my diary, I will book in important things, like I'll book in the management meeting, I'll book in if I'm doing training and development with the team, or if I need to do filming with Sophia. But I like to keep my diary open because I get to kind of, whatever's happening that week, we're very busy, I have the space to handle or to jump in and focus on that. So I don't have like set days where I'm fully, booked doing clients or fully booked doing things for the business every single day. So I might have, again, a certain day that I do certain meetings, and then I just see what comes up. Things are always coming up. The order hasn't come in time. I need to go run and get it. So just little things like that, and just having space to go to my daughter's assemblies, like when she's getting a merit award, to go to my daughter's activities. I'm finally able to do more family things and be there for like my daughter, where with my son, I missed out on like everything. I had to work every Saturday. I had to work till 5:30, get home at 6 after work. So I missed out on so much. I didn't have the choice when I was young, but now I do. And I offer the opportunity to my staff and I pay for that essentially, for that free time essentially. So that is good. I just keep my diary open and just see what the week throws at me. So today what we're doing is after this, I've got a management meeting, doing some filming with Sophia, and then we've got a business dinner tonight. And then tomorrow I have more free time, so I'll see what I need to work on. I have some projects that I'm working on in the background at the moment too, so I've given time to that. And then that way I just feel like for me, I thrive off of that, where my husband thrives off of routine. So everyone is very different, but I just feel like my energy, I show up better, I give more to my work and I focus on what needs me the most at that time.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing that people who don't own businesses don't understand. Like anything can come up at any given time, and having the plan is all well and good until shit hits the fan and you're like, I cannot follow this plan. Like I have to do this. This is a priority. I think for me, exact same thing as you. Back in the day, it used to be chock-a-blocked, like back-to-back meetings, clients, film this podcast, do that. And if one person runs over or something goes wrong, you've created the worst nightmare for the next 3 weeks, because then you're trying to follow that up. And I think even to speak to having a team, if you're a solo person, or let's say you and all your team are booked out and you're not bringing on that extra person, if someone's sick, if something happens, like how are you meant to deal with that?
Exactly. And sometimes we do have to step in the treatment room. Like my manager stepped in on Friday. Sometimes I will have to step in to the treatment room as well because someone's sick, there's no cover, people are on holidays. So that's what I like, to keep myself available. The water got turned off in the area the other week, so we had to run around and see what was happening with that. They were doing some site works and didn't tell us that they were turning the water off. Like there's always little problems. The laser wasn't working in the electrical, like in the output, the electrical, what do you call that thing?
The wall plug?
Yeah, the wall plug.
Wall outlet?
Yeah, like that just...
We've got a Sparky here. What's it called? An outlet.
Yeah, so it's an outlet. So things like that are always going on. We've run out of this product. We need to go pick this up. This order's late. We need to go there and get the order in Myri. So there's just lots of little things. Or then I can focus on what I've got to work on. Like I want to bring in a new process. So today I've got that free time. I'm going to work on that. So I do book stuff in my diary and I look at it every single day, but I can be flexible and I can move it if I need to optimize my days. And that way I just feel like I'm more efficient and I'm getting shit done and what needs to be done in order of priority.
Very, very powerful. And I think if you've got ADHD too,
yes.
It's just like, I just need to do it all at once and then stop and then think. It's so hard to prioritize. Do you find that? Yes. I find it really hard to prioritize.
Yes.
I just go, it's all important. I need to do it all now. Or today, I just need to not do any work and just find that space to reset.
Yeah, I do that as well. So I'll be like, what do I have to work on today? Today, this has come up. I need to fix this. I need to do this now. And then I'll be trying to do all the things at once. And then I'll be like, I need to lay in my bed and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. No one talk to me. So I do find like that too. I work in ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
That's how I work best. You'll get the best out of me. And now that I've hired to replace me in the business, I don't have to have such a tight schedule. And I feel like, I just work on what needs to be worked on during the week. So this week, like I said, today we're busy. Then I do want to do some cleaning of my house this week. I want to chuck out some clothes. So I know that I'm going to do some household things that are different to work. I have that separation. Then I might have to go in and have a meeting with, again, the coordinators, the manager, one of the girls, or on a project I'm working at, I'm going to have to do some Zooms with that on branding. There's so much research, training and development that I want to organise as well. So it just gives me space to do all of that. When people are like, how are you doing so much? It's because I'm free. I free up my time to be able to fit these things in, to be consistent across everything. Otherwise, impossible. Absolutely impossible if you're not.
Yeah, it definitely looks and sounds like now you've built the system and the process to be able to actually be there for your team and support them. I think if you're trying to do it all, you can't help yourself, let alone your team or your family, and you're just not going to have a life.
No, and you'll hate it. You'll build resentment. So now what I focus on, I am the visionary of the business.
Yeah.
So I have the vision, and then I like to do training and development, because I'll find things we need to upskill in, or different philosophies or different methods of treatment. So I love doing training and development with the girls, marketing and PR for my business as well. So that's kind of my key areas of focus now.
Cool. Now, I know Love Beauty is an industry leader. People look at you and they're like, I want to be like Rachel. I want to have this brand. You're going to attract copycats, right? In your experience, have you had people copying your marketing word for word? Like, how do you handle the copycats?
I think that it happens to anyone that people are inspired by. So I know that there's not a lot that you can do. And I don't love it. It's not fun. It's not great, especially when you two are doing something different and it's your original idea and then everyone does it. It's not special anymore and the clients don't maybe know where it came from and the origin of that. I have been in situations where we get really ripped on, where I used to do a lot of posts. I worked with like a graphic designer and we do lots of posts together, and it was a lot of writing essentially. And I would write these kind of paragraphs on our philosophy and our beliefs and our holistic methods, and they'd come from like my brain and my heart, and then someone copied and pasted all of it, didn't even change a word. And then I brought this up with them and said, this is really important to me because I put all my energy into it. This is like my creation and my business, like kind of how we are perceived essentially. And please don't copy it like word for word, like maybe make it your own, but this is very special to us. And then she apologized and then she did it again. Completely again, copied and pasted word for word. And then she got angry at me when I brought it up and said that she hasn't copied it and that we're very alike, that we think alike. And I'm like, no, you copied it word for word. I've got the original here. You copied and pasted it. So it is hard. Sometimes it is, though, it's nice to see and it's flattering that we inspire people. And it just means that we just got to stay at the forefront and be different. We've just got to be different and stand out.
Does this kind of shine a light on you always need to level up and continue innovating to stay ahead of the game? Because you can't get complacent. Imagine if you just sat there and you kept doing the exact same thing, for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to work anymore.
No.
You have to always be upskilling, investing, innovating, coming up with new ideas. People will copy, but they can't away you. Yeah.
No, and they don't have your brain and, again, your vision and your maybe capability. So they can never be you. The longer I've been in business, I used to get worried about like, or if this therapist leaves, like it might ruin my business. Or yes, if we, if I have a break, if I go on holiday, it will ruin my business. And now I have more confidence in myself and that as long as I'm running the show, it's all going to be fine. And that these kind of little hiccups, I can't take them on too much. Like I can't get too upset by them. So it can be a little bit irritating, but also flattering. And I've just got to level up and keep on going and keep on standing out and being different.
What are some of the most valuable investments that you've made across your entire journey that have really helped you grow your business?
I would say that I did everything as I could afford it. Yeah, I literally got my first credit card last week. Like Amex. I'm 36 in like a week, next weekend, and I've got my first credit card. So some people, I have a really good friend that's a financial advisor and she'll think I'm an idiot. She's like, why don't you have a credit card? But to me, it just gave me more stability and less fear that I'm going to get myself into debt. I don't want to live off my credit card. I want to like have the money. When like you really want something but you can't afford it and you get a loan for it and then in a month you're over it and you want something new. I don't want to get in that kind of rut where I'm always like paying off something I'm over. So I like to save and reinvest back into the business, and our business has grown like in time. It wasn't like I opened and got all of these machines in and all of these great products. I just did it as I could afford it over the years. I saved a lot, especially over the first couple of years. Saving so much money propelled us forward. And then that's why I am where I am today. Like I said, I'd gone through lots of hardships. I've been very, very poor, not knowing like how I'm going to get food for the week. My husband has too. So feeling comfortable saving everything and having a little bit of fear of the unknown and not wanting to spend it all and be flashy or, invest too much and get us into trouble really propelled us. So that was actually a good choice for us to make and got us to where we are today. So that has been fantastic. The consistency, how much effort I have put in with our social media and with the quality of the experience, and again, the treatments, the being innovative, bringing in new things, the level that we invest in our team yearly as well really helps because it sets us apart from the rest. People will go somewhere else, come to us, and they'll be like, wow, your girls are amazing. No matter who I go to, they're so educated, they're so smart. I've never had an experience like this. So, or someone will leave and then come back because they're like, okay, this is where we want to be. Like it's not like that everywhere else. So I think that, yeah, it's really personally training and developing your staff to have that consistency, like what you said before, the experience, consistency, moving to the bigger clinic, but doing it all in the right timing. Any moves I've made, it's been needed essentially. So I haven't tried to keep up with the Joneses where I'm like, she's moved into a bigger space, I have to move into a bigger space, or she's got another clinic, I need another clinic. It's all what works for me and my vision and my finances pretty much. So sticking to that and not wanting to keep up with the Joneses and doing things my way in my timing has been great. And building that wait list before we moved into the other clinic, training those girls. Yes, it's extra effort and it requires extra thought, but then we were ready to go. We hit the ground running. We're turning a profit straight away. It just kind of propelled us and we kept growing essentially. We're even growing now. We've never had a year, even during COVID or after, or when they did the interest rate hikes, we've never had a year where we've gone down. We go up every single year.
What was the cost of the first commercial property that you moved into versus the space you're in now?
Yes, so I went through the numbers with my husband because it's been a while. So it was $30,000 to move into the Shelley Clinic.
Yep.
And me and my husband did a lot of that. We did have some trades, but we did a lot of that. We sourced everything ourselves and I styled it myself and it was so cute and pretty. But that was about $30,000. So that wasn't very expensive. To me at the time, I thought that it was expensive.
Is that the fit out or the rent?
That is a fit out. The rent was fantastic. The rent at the time, it was between $210 to $250 a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was amazing. Before COVID, and because the owners of the space, we dealt with them directly instead of a real estate, they had lots of commercial properties that they're retired and it paid for their lifestyle. So they were really kind. And again, in COVID, we didn't have to pay the rent. So we didn't have those expenses coming out. So that also allowed us to save a lot. Yep. And then we moved into this space and the renovations, we had to put plumbing in. It was an old building, an old heritage type building. So that costed $350,000 to fit out. And then plus we had to get more skin needling devices and LEDs because we had more people on. Yep. So more devices as well.
And then how many rooms did you say you have? Is it 7?
So now we've got 7. So initially in the clinic we're in now, there were 6 with 7 beds because we have a double treatment room.
Yeah.
So people go with their partners, their mums, their friends. But then recently we had an infrared sauna room, but we had been really busy where all 6 rooms were booked and we couldn't fit anyone in. So then we decided to renovate the sauna room and turn it into a 7th treatment room. So now we've got 7 treatment rooms.
And then what's the commercial rent you were paying?
So it goes up every year. So I think it started at around $1,000 and now it's around $2,000.
Yeah, okay. We went through a similar thing. It was just every single 6 months the rent was getting jacked up and up and up, and other people go into spaces where they're signing a lease for 3 years and it might have a 5% increase or whatever it is. I think that's a huge topic as well, where it's finding the right space and knowing that it's financially viable and having the plan to scale. Because if you don't scale, you don't have people in those treatment rooms bringing in revenue, it comes at a massive detriment. And I know one of my previous podcast guests, she came on, she was amazing. She went from having a team of 6, downsizing to a team of her and 2 others, and to just see how easy it was to cover all the operational costs versus having the less team members. She had to go back to working from home, A, because she didn't want the team anymore, but B, because the rent just went from being, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, and it was just
that's crazy.
Really scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign that lease. My husband's really good at our finances as well, so I always get his opinion, and we're always more cautious. We're so cautious compared to what we have to be cautious about. But so we went through the contract with the real estate, put that clause for COVID in, locked it in at that price for 5 years. And yeah, it just hikes up a little bit each year. We're finished the 5 years this year, so it will go up again, but it's not like crazy. And it's still a good, it's expensive. It's a bigger place and it's a bigger cost. But with the amount of team we have, we're fine covering that.
Do you reckon you'll end up buying your own commercial space, or would you rather rent and have a lease for an extended period of time?
I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. If the owners of this building went to sell it, we would probably buy it.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to buy it out of a self-managed super fund.
Yeah.
So that would be, unless we wanted to move locations to we do have the main road and sometimes it can be a bit loud and annoying. So if we found another location that was the one, then maybe we wouldn't purchase this building and we would rather purchase that building. So we kind of have our options open for the moment. So we've signed up for another 5 years in this current space. So that would be 10 years altogether. And in that time, if he wants to sell, we would probably buy the property.
It's so interesting now that I've been having a lot of these conversations with people who have built and scaled the businesses to this level, especially in beauty. Because if you look at beauty, most people don't make it past the 2 year mark, let alone 5 years because of the physical strain on their bodies. When you're making moves in your business, how far are you planning ahead? Are you kind of going what do I want in 5 years or 10 years? Or are you just kind of looking at the next year and then what could possibly come from that if you achieve it?
I think of everything, but I don't sit there and plan it out. I think of it in my head. Some things I plan out because I need to talk about it with my team or my manager to drive the vision to make it happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of it I think in my head because I like having, again, flexibility to change my mind, depending on what else changes and what I would do to adapt. So for instance, 5 years, we're hoping to stay in this space, hopefully same number of team members. And then again, if we have the offer and we're still happy with everything, I would purchase the building. In terms of would we expand, we've got a big team, and if we do expand to a second clinic, that will require a lot more energy and hard work. But we'd hire another manager if the opportunity presented itself. So if we're fully booked, the 7th room's booked out and, everything's going good with the economy, then I would open a second clinic and we would do it more north of the river to not take from the one that we have now. So that could be, I just keep the opportunity open. So I just keep it open. There's, opportunity for products in the future as well. We're training and developing a lot of our staff into laser therapists, laser safety officers at the moment as well. But even looking at me looking at my life, long term, I don't really know. I'll do this until I can't do it anymore. And then I might go back and work from home, or I might retire, or I don't know what I'll do, or, I couldn't see myself doing anything else, and I can't see myself going back to work for anyone else. So I'll stay in this industry. I love this industry. Whether I do make my team smaller with some of my seniors that can do high earning treatments like laser, that could be a possibility in future as I get older, or if I go back and work for myself. I like having a little team. I like working with people and having connection. So I probably would do something like that when I get older. And I don't think I'd like to retire young because I would be so bored. I want to do things and have experiences, and I want to travel more. So yeah, I don't really know what the long-term future holds, but I just kind of stay on track and it works out organically for me. I always have done that. I never planned on my business being this big. I just thought I'd have one employee. So I kind of see where it takes me. I keep being consistent and putting in the work. And then when the opportunities present themselves, I either am yes, this works for me, or no, that's not my story, and go from there. But I do have ideas in my head that we're working towards, things in the now, and then in the future though, the long-term future, we'll just see what happens.
I'm really excited. I can't wait until it launches. It's going to be epic.
Yes.
Now, as we move towards wrapping up the episode, we're going to move into a rapid fire question. So I'm pretty much just going to hit you with some questions, not so much about business now, a bit about obviously what you're good at, skin and acne. Excellent. So just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right. So the first question is, what is the biggest myth about acne treatments?
I think that it's all topical and that they can just buy, certain products and it's going to clear the acne when it's completely internal. Or a lot of people saying acne is normal. I know you want to normalize it because it's very difficult to go through and very upsetting, but it's a sign that something's off in your body. So there's a hormonal component, there's a gut health component that's happening, and it's an organ of elimination, and it's showing you that. Yeah, just people just talking about treating it topically and that it won't come back essentially, because it's generally something that you'll have to manage throughout your lifetime.
Yeah. So you really take that holistic approach from having food, your gut health, skin. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Stress, sleep,
yeah.
anything that alters your hormones.
Yeah.
So your gut health can even implicate your hormones as well. That's why it's all like connected. So again, the skin's an organ of elimination, and it shows everything. So medications that stimulate certain hormones or suppress hormones, and then coming off of medication, and your body promoting or what's the word? I can't even think. Sorry.
Excreting?
Excreting more like testosterone, like producing is the word, producing more testosterone. Then you have a thicker, excessive oil flow, and that's what causes the congestion within the follicle. So we're kind of diet influences your oil flow and your hormones, your gut health, stress, all of those things. So we're kind of working on a 360-degree approach to tackle everything that is going to throw off your body, essentially, throw off your hormones. So it all goes back to the fundamentals of being human and healthy. And a lot of people, we're so detached from that people want a quick fix or a pill, and there's not even a pill. Even medications, a lot of them don't work, or if they do work, it will come back and they'll have to deal with it further on, or it can cause other issues with like the liver, the gut, and the skin in future as well.
Yeah, I love that. I can definitely see that your whole approach develops long-lasting results. It's not, hey, you get your one treatment, you're done. It is, we're going to work on this with you so that you can continue to sustain healthy skin long-term.
Definitely. It's a lifestyle. That's it. So that's the biggest, I guess, misconception, that there's nothing, that it's not a quick fix. It's a lifestyle change.
Nice. Okay, what's one skincare trend that needs to die?
Oh gosh, there's so many skincare trends. I'm just trying to think of what are current trends. I'm not on TikTok, so I'm not watching all of the... Sophia, what are the TikTok trends?
Glass skin?
Oh, glass skin. There's no glass skin. You can look dewy. Like with the Korean skincare, there's a lot of humectants in there. So a lot of like water retaining and attracting ingredients, which is really good for your barrier health. But you can't get rid of pores. There's no mask. There's like a video I've seen, and they put the mask on and erase their pores. That's not possible.
Wrinkles, schminkles. I've seen that brand.
Yes. Oh, yes, I've seen that. Nothing can stop your skin from aging. So it's not really anti-aging, it's pro-aging. Yeah, the beef tallow or putting really thick emollients or occlusive ingredients on the skin is going to cause blockages of your pores, which will worsen your skin. Taking advice off of random people on TikTok, or influencers are getting paid to sponsor a product that don't even use the product. We've seen that. It's all about money. So just being very mindful of what is about someone making money and what is about skin health.
Yes.
Like what is true, essentially. I'm trying to think of any more.
Have you seen that? I can't remember what the brand is called, but essentially you do a quiz and then they send you medication.
Yes.
And it's supposed to fix your skin.
Yes, no. It's active. So a lot of skincare brands now formulate Kligman's formula. So Kligman was a dermatologist back in the day, and he had like a formula with like hydroquinone in there and like tretinoin and other active ingredients that you can't get over the counter. You need a script. So people that are in the medical industry, maybe they're a doctor, they can access Kligman's formula and make it into their own product essentially.
And then sell it.
Yeah, and it might get a result with pigment. You're not meant to use it long term. You're meant to cycle it in like 3 months, like have breaks.
Like we're talking about steroids here.
We are. We're talking about crazy stuff. But there's steroids in a lot of the products as well.
Okay.
And they don't know.
Okay.
They don't know what's in them. People are purchasing it from doctors and they don't know what they're using. So, and that can, again, steroid withdrawal can happen. It's just, I would try and steer away from medications to treat skin where you can. You don't need to go that heavy.
Yeah, like doxycycline. Yeah, and they don't work. Goes on a Accutane when they're so young.
At least Accutane will work because it's going to stop the oil flow.
Yeah.
And the blockages from happening. It's working on the sebaceous glands, stopping them producing the excessive sebum.
But like my brother had it, right? And I didn't know, anyone listening to this is going to hate me, but I didn't know at the time that he had sensitive skin. So I was waxing his eyebrows and I took off like 5 layers of his skin and I was mortified.
it's thinning. Well, it's increasing cell turnover, so you really can resurface them very easily. They're not meant to go in the sun. They're meant to get tests for their liver. We have people that have been on Roaccutane 8 times and their acne keeps coming back, and then they finally trusted in us.
It just
and
doesn't
it
sound
clears.
sustainable long term.
They're not changing the reason that their sebaceous glands are excreting the excessive sebum, which causes the blockage.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, again, everyone wants a quick fix and everyone wants to make a buck off of an illusion of a quick fix. And there's no quick fix, essentially. So we just try and be as transparent and honest as possible. You can get a result. You can maintain those results, but it's like going to the gym. You need to give it your all. You need to make healthy choices to balance your hormones. You need to reduce stress. You need to prioritize your health, essentially. The fundamentals: diet, sleep, and lowering stress.
Yeah.
And being, mindful what you expose yourself to. And even being in like bad relationships or toxic environments that you're not going to heal in those spaces. So it's like, look after yourself and your skin will follow, essentially. But a lot of people won't do that and they just want to see a result from products. Some might, if like we're, giving them retinoids and salicylic acid. But again, if nothing's changing, nothing changes long term.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, dermaplaning at home is not great. Over exfoliating with acids, like everyone's got the same. We've had people come to us and bring their routine and I'm like, you're using like 4 of the same product. You don't even need these. You need 1 of these. Why are you using them in 4 different serums? Like, you've wasted your money and you're over exfoliating, like overdoing it, which will impair your barrier and you'll actually be worsening your skin. You're paying to worsen your skin. So any of that, again, going back to the fundamentals, not what everyone is getting advertised. So like lymphatic health, lymphatic compression facials, LED, skin needling, superficial skin peels, all of those treatments are amazing at what they do.
Yeah, if something's broken, don't try.
If something's not broken,
don't try.
Don't try and fix it.
So what's your go-to skincare product for flawless skin?
For flawless skin, I would always start with something hydrating, essentially. I don't know if there's one. There's not one product. I would just have an essential routine.
Like a moisturizer,
good cleanser,
vitamin C.
Yeah, like good
vitamin
cleanser.
D.
Yeah, B3 or panthenol, B5. You want a good cleanser that does not strip the skin for your skin type, that's not going to dry you out and it's not going to break you out.
What's my skin type?
Well, I would have to take your makeup off and assess it. But I would do like a gel. I would do a gel cleanser for you. A gel is really good for a lot of people, sensitive people, oilier skins and dry skins, or like a milk or an oil for drier skins.
See, I just went from a gel cleanser to a cream cleanser and I hate the feeling of the cream cleanser. It just doesn't make my skin feel like it's clean.
Yes.
And that's probably because I have combination skin. It's a little bit oilier. I've got that Asian genetic kind of background.
Suit the gel. I would put you on the gel. See, me, I'm more dry. I could do an oil. I could do a gel. I could do a cream. I could do the oil and then the gel to remove the residue.
You could
of
do
the
it
oil.
all. Is there anything you can't do?
Don't know. I can't tolerate retinoids nightly, so I can't do retinol or retinol nightly because my skin won't tolerate it.
Yeah.
The more oil you have, the more resilient you are. Like your skin is, so you can generally get away with
You're super resilient after this podcast.
I'm resilient. My skin's not that resilient. But, like a good cleanser, a good moisturiser, definitely sun protection to stop your skin from breaking like down the collagen prematurely, essentially, the elastin and the collagen, to stop hyperpigmentation as well, which we're all going to develop living in Australia. And then your good serums. So generally speaking, your A, B and C. But if you're impaired, I would maybe do a stem cell serum or something to regenerate.
It sounds like I need to just sell my liver to pay for my skincare at this stage.
Pretty much. Like a basic routine, the most basic is your cleanser, your moisturiser and your sun protection.
Yeah.
And then a form of exfoliation, whether an enzyme. We love an enzyme exfoliant.
What about like St. Ives apricot scrub from Woolworths?
No,
my mum used to love that.
So my grandma loved it. I have used it. We're not doing that anymore. That's in the bin. Yeah. Physical scrubs can create micro tears in the skin, which causes skin inflammation. It can cause transepidermal water loss, dehydration. It's just not good. So we want to do something enzymatically or chemical based with acids or enzymes, and they like slowly dissolve the dead skin like cell and debris so that you're nice and smooth without wrecking the integrity of your skin. So your enzyme exfoliants are great, at-home lymphatic, at-home LED, and then your serums, maybe a hyaluronic, a humectant serum that's pulling and retaining water into the skin for hydration. Most Australians, like supposedly 70% of Australians have dehydrated skin. So dehydrated is lacking water, dry is lacking oil. So you could add your oils back in. If you are problematic, you might want to do jojoba oil because it's not comedogenic, so you're not going to break out from it. Where if you do other oils that are a bit heavier, you can break out from it. So everyone's different. They need a consult.
You know your shit. Like I'm sitting here and you're getting so passionate. I can definitely tell that skin is where you're meant to be in this world.
Yes.
Now try answer this question. You can't give me 10 treatments. You can only give one, all right?
Okay.
I know this is going to be hard. If you could only have one treatment for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Can I give you two? I'll give you one and then my backup option.
Okay.
LED for the red and the near infrared wavelength and their properties, their benefits.
Yeah.
Very good at regeneration, repairing the skin, and then lymphatic therapy.
Oh yes, I've had that one. It makes your neck go.
Yeah, the little vascular response. The arterioles have expanded where the blood flows come through to feed down to the tissues and the cells. So that's optimizing how your skin functions. So it's using compression to stimulate blood flow and the lymphatic system essentially to nourish the cells and detox the skin. So that's like making your skin work at its best, like when you're a child before we get older and our cells become mutated essentially and our body breaks down. So that's, optimizing your skin health, and then the LED, regeneration, healing, repairing. So those would be my go-to. We do so many in clinic. There's so many treatments everyone advertises for. And again, we have lasers in that, but I feel nothing compares to good old LED and lymphatic therapy and skin needling.
Well, it's just like gym. You know, everyone thinks they need the fanciest equipment and the latest weird looking technique that's gone viral. It's like it actually just comes back to basics and doing the basics really consistently.
The basics in everything is literally the fundamentals, and everything else is just distraction.
I love that. That needs to be a quote.
It does.
What's your biggest holy shit moment in business?
Oh God, in a bad way or a good way?
Let's do good.
Okay, let's do good. Oh my gosh.
When were the good moments in my business?
They're so good. I'm just trying to think. When I guess I got to my first goal was just, could I have enough clients that would keep me busy full time?
Oh,
like work.
Getting fully booked for first time.
So that was my first yes, I've done it. I'm like a salon, I've made it. So that was my first way to go, and retiring my husband.
Oh.
So he hasn't had to work. And a lot of people say, I don't want to retire my husband. I don't want to take away his life or what he wants to do. I think they want to be retired. Who wouldn't want to be retired?
What does he do? So he does the whole financial management?
Yes, yeah, he
CFO?
does back end. He does all of that stuff, all the financials. He does a lot. He's a fix-it guy. He helps me and Elle, my manager, a lot. So he's come onto the business, and he also helped with raising our daughter, because we had my daughter around the time my business was really taking off, which was another challenge in itself, but has been very positive for us. So he does all of that and some house stuff as well, which is fantastic. And he's a really good support, but he does all the financials and the bookkeeping and everything like that. So making him be able to leave his job was fantastic. He was a boat builder. He really liked his career, but whenever I'm like, well, you can go back to work if you're bored, he's like, no, I don't want to go back to work. So that has been positive. It's allowed us to spend time together, to do more things, as a family, and to be close, which has been great. And to have him work for the business, it's fantastic. I trust him, and it's been a really positive experience. So that was probably the second, paying off my first mortgage. So that was probably one of my best, because it's kind of financial freedom, and people aren't able to do that. It takes 30 years to pay off a mortgage. So the first time that we paid off we built in Denmark, a beautiful house in Denmark, and paying off the mortgage, that was a big financial goal for me.
Do you still own that, or did you end up selling it?
We sold that. So we sold that, and then we bought in Perth, in South Perth, which isn't too far from the clinic, which is good for us. Not too close, not too far. So we bought a new house. That was a new build down there, and we bought a new build up here.
Yeah, nice.
So we really love being back in Perth. I am definitely a city girl, and I missed it. But that was a really great milestone as well. I'm trying to think, having a good team, having a larger team, and being able to, what I've kind of gotten through. So the hardships, and I keep going and I keep going. And a lot of people are like, how did you do it? And it's just, I keep going. It's hard. I'm going to go cry in the shower for a bit, and then I'm going to come back in and get shit done, and I'm going to keep going. And that's just, I'm just resilient, and that's all. And I've read quotes like, you don't have to be smart to be successful. You just have to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of rejection. If I get rejected, okay, I'm going to go do this, or I'll keep going, like, you know, until I don't get rejected.
It's like that rejection is redirection.
Exactly. So I think I don't have a big ego. I don't care if I fail. I'll get back up and try another way. I don't care if I get rejected. I'll go for another opportunity that wasn't meant for me, and just having that resilience. And now I'm happy to put more boundaries in and to be able to be with my family more and my daughter more, because I missed out on so much for my son. So, yeah, they're kind of the milestones that come to mind. Winning, we've won ABIA 2 years in a row as well. That was pretty cool. There's been a lot. There's been great moments. There's so many good moments. There's hard times, but there's so many good times as well.
That makes it worth it, 100%. Yeah. Last question in our rapid fire round that has been very in-depth. I love it. If you had to give one piece of advice to a clinic owner out there, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. To keep going, to trust in yourself. If you don't know something, you don't know, seek out a mentor, but seek out a mentor who's where you want to be and who has done what you want to do, essentially. So don't ask random people for help.
On Facebook groups.
Exactly. Or like business coaches that are very broad and they don't know how to help you in your industry, or they haven't gotten where you want to be. They would be there if they could get there. So I think, kind of align yourself with people that you can learn from. It's very lonely, so connect with people, and don't be too hard on yourself. And if you keep being consistent and giving it your all, then you're going to be successful.
So the next time you're feeling down and out, you need to replay that to yourself.
Yes, exactly. I do.
I love that. Rachel, this has been incredible. Where can people connect with you, work with you, or learn more about the Love Beauty method?
Okay, so generally on our social media platforms. So Instagram's the biggest one, Love Beauty Skin Clinic. I've also got my personal one for business owners to reach out, and I offer some one-on-one mentoring services at Rachel at Love Beauty Skin Clinic there. We've got a TikTok for the younger ones as well, with content that we don't post on social media, more behind the scenes funny stuff. But yeah, they're probably the best places to reach myself or to connect with myself or my team.
You have been absolutely amazing. I really appreciate the time, the amount of insight you've shared, and also how just raw and real you are. Obviously, in a world where we see so much on social media, it's really nice to have these conversations and get to know you. I feel like I learnt so much at our coffee date, and now I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're even more inspiring than I, ever could have imagined. So, do you have any final words to wrap up the episode, or are you happy with what we've covered?
I'm happy. Thank you for having me today. This has been really cool, a new experience. I don't know.
Just keep going.
Just keep going, everybody, and don't
give up.
Don't give up, and don't think bad thought. The voice in our head. Just keep going despite the voice in the head. Shut it off and keep doing your thing and believing in you, because no one else is going to. So you have to believe in yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much. If you found value in today's episode, can you please take a screenshot, put it on your stories, and let Rachel and I know what your biggest key takeaway was. So tag Rachel and tag myself, and we'll be interested to see what your favorite part of the episode was. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next Beauty Industry Leaders podcast episode. Have a great week. Bye.
Audience exclusive.